Mysterious and unconfirmed animals. It all started with an unidentified object found in the woods. People called it Alpha. The Alpha that was found was dead, but there was also a video that appeared to show a group of people nearby. At one point I went to investigate in the village of Beta where it was found. Beta village was a little bigger and more developed than a village with a population of 2,000. And I found the SDF, which I had been warned about. Apparently, Alpha had harmed someone. I went to the laboratory to see the Alpha that had been found. What I found was something like a rat. I wondered if I should be that alarmed. I thought, is it really that alarming? When I talked to the SDF, they also said that Alpha has already turned into a humanoid. They say they are on the lookout for the possibility that it may eventually attack in a human mimicry state. I was allowed to stay in one of the apartments. From there I researched for days and weeks. But no matter how I tried, I could not figure out the DNA. I thought it might be a mutation, since there was no meteor-like aftermath nearby. I thought it was a mutation, but apparently not. One day, I inadvertently poured hydrochloric acid on the DNA. Then the DNA started moving on its own. It was in a sequence I had never seen before, and to my knowledge, it was impeccably perfect. I thought that maybe, just maybe, I could stimulate it, so I gave it a loud noise. And it still did. The DNA had evolved, though not as much as the hydrochloric acid. I had to tell him about this. But it took too long. The government and the self-defense forces had been sounding the alarm at all hours since the attack by Alpha in one area. Another researcher was planning to drop Alpha into a pool filled with hydrochloric acid, hoping to dissolve him. That would be no good. Alpha would become untouchable. With this thought in mind, the sky began to darken, and I hurried back to my apartment. I had to call the government. No connection? Yes, there was no mobile communication. The self-defense forces must have turned it off to keep it from leaking to the outside world. That's what I was thinking. Suddenly, the alarm sounded louder and the TV came on. They are trying to carry out that operation. I immediately tried to leave the apartment. But the operation is about to begin. Ah. It has begun. Now will this make this village safe? Whoa whoa whoa, what was that sound? Alpha is attacking the SDF. Operation failed. Operation failed. Retreat immediately. Retreat, see, I knew it. I couldn't move. Then I saw Alpha on the camera the cameraman had left behind. It was nothing compared to a rat. The eyes were sharp and all black, the mouth was human-like but with sharp teeth and dripping blood. He was about 1.8 long and pretty good-looking. Oh no. As soon as I thought that, the power went out in the apartment. I couldn't see anything. So I had no choice but to stay in my room. After a while, I saw a humanoid through the window of the apartment. I said, "Hey, I'm here. Help me." Now that I think about it, no one walks outside at a time like this. So I told Alpha where I was. What should I do? I ran upstairs before the Alpha came. But I couldn't make it to the rooftop. I could not go to the rooftop because I heard the first floor door open as I climbed the fire escape. I stopped at the 7th floor, carefully opened the door and quietly closed it. The only entrances and exits on the 7th floor were the fire escape and the elevator. I relaxed a little and quietly closed the emergency staircase lock. Just as I was thinking about what room to hide in, I heard a scream from downstairs. Oh no, Alpha was already close by. I thought and quickly entered the unlocked room. I locked the door and hid in the study, which was a little further in. I hid in the study. Then I thought, Alpha must be very intelligent now. Then it is locked at the door of the fire escape, unnatural? At that moment, I heard the sound of a door being kicked down. I thought to myself, right. I thought. What should I do? My heart is racing. If anything, this sound would give me away, right? With that thought in mind, the sound got closer and finally came to my room. Bang! Suddenly it opened. It is silent. Absolutely no breathing. I frantically tried to erase any sign of him. I walked down the hallway in front of the study. Boo boo boo, the vibrating sound of my phone. Worst. Naturally, the door to the study opened. It's the end. Yeah, let's at least check the notifications. I found a way to weaken Alpha. What? Why is there a signal? Oh, right, because the SDF has already pulled out. More than that. I saw a faint glimmer of hope. If they're so hard to stimulate, why don't you give them some tranquilizers? Tranquilizers, huh? Oh, I have some. I picked up the tranquilizer I was taking and stepped in front of Alpha. Alpha ate my whole hand. I didn't care anymore. Anyway, if Alpha died, and I lost consciousness. More than 10 years have passed since that day. I lived without one arm. After that, a friend who came to my rescue discovered the exchange, and as soon as he found Alpha, he gave him a tranquilizer. As soon as he found Alpha, he gave him tranquilizers as needed. Alpha was no longer eradicated, the body was placed in a soundproof room with no stimulation and buried in the earth. But I was unaware. Alpha's DNA had entered my bloodstream when I was bitten. I was bitten. And that the DNA had evolved to a level where tranquilizers no longer worked. And so the tragedy repeats itself. And so the tragedy repeated itself. I lost consciousness and found myself in the forest. Apparently, my eyes were low. Ah, so I became a rat in the form in which I was first found. After that, I noticed that I had turned into a human eye due to hunting bullet holes and other stimuli. I was very light. This would be a good way to attack. So I went into one house. There were 3 of them. One scratched me and became one of them. Another ate them up. The last one was scared. But I gave him a shove with a sharp claw. After that, the number of friends gradually increased. Humans were no threat to me now. So he killed the armed ones. While exploring the town, he saw a human being. He looked so good, Nita. Bang. Gaga gaga gaga. Sound of climbing fire escape. Not here, not here. Is this floor locked? Here, ha. Bam. Flap, flap, flap. There is a presence here. I can faintly hear breathing. Here it is. Baboon, then goodbye. Let's start with the arms. And then. Inga, ga, 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 ga. Slam. What's wrong with you? Kurshi, Kurshi, Akiga. Thus ended the life of a human being, or rather, a former human being. This is the end of this story. Thank you for listening to the end.